But all jokes aside, hip hop is in the news, and there's a lot that I think we have to say about this quote unquote feud. The lyrical feud between Kendrick Lamar and Drake holds significant material importance in contemporary hip hop culture, marking a departure from the dynamics of older rap feuds from the 80s and 90s. Unlike the earlier era's beefs, which were often localized and characterized by intense, sometimes violent rivalries, the Kendrick Drake feud reflects the globalized and commercially expansive nature of today's music industry. This modern conflict has captured national attention without the threats of violence hurled at the combatants. The battle underscores the evolution of rap into a dominant cultural force where digital media and social platforms amplify and monetize artists' confrontations on an unprecedented scale. Analyzing this beef offers insights into how hip hop has transformed in terms of production, distribution, and audience engagement, making it emblematic of the genre's contemporary material conditions compared to the foundational beefs that shaped its earlier decades. Please welcome to join us the hip hop journalist, Justin Hunt.
Hey, what up?
Hey, I'm journalism him over here.
Turn down the racism, though. Turn down the racism.
Just as like I have a wide array of fans and I can't lose them for you Negroes.
Right. Word up. Good.
So you've been dropping videos left and right because I don't sleep that much and I will wake up in the middle of the night or early in the morning and I'll see you like just dropped a video on this, especially when the stuff was just happening. What makes the Kendrick versus Drake beef so different, in your opinion, from hip hop battles in the past?
I think there's a lot of different things that I'll say stand out to me about this one. One, I like seeing two guys who have been around each other for this long and have been sub-dissing each other for this long. Like they've basically been subbing each other for a decade. A decade, right? Like Nas and Jay-Z weren't even subbing each other for a decade. Tupac and Biggie subbed each other for like 2 seasons. You know, when you look at the big ones, they've been, a decade. And the clash of styles is so different. I think, contrary to what my recent commentary probably alludes to, I actually think Drake is really talented. I think he's a really great rapper. I mean, I just don't think that he uses his powers for good, we'll say, all the time, almost, or any time, I guess. And on the other side of that, you have, so Drake is known for making huge, global streaming record-breaking songs and, making songs in other people's styles and, genres sometimes. And you have Kendrick, who's basically lived in the Black art space exclusively and then been able to elevate that to pop levels, pop proportions, which is very difficult to do.
Would you say Kendrick has maxed out that kind of 90s era hip hop in a way the 90s didn't even do?
Interesting. I don't know. Lauryn Hill took it pretty far. Lauryn Hill,
but she sang. Her biggest hits were not lost ones. The biggest hits were, like we were joking, Everything Is Everything. What else is a song from that record? She had like 6 singles from Miseducation.
I mean, but even just like sort of the like, that is 51% R&B, I think, 52% R&B. Technically, it's an R&B album. I think that's what it ended up really winning for. It's just barely R&B. But that whole ethos of bringing in just all the different pieces of Black music history coming together in an art form, I think she did a great job of that. Outkast, another one. I think very outcastic in my opinion.
Even spoken word with Outkast.
Oh, 100%.
Those early records,
spoken word, just the whole range of things. So where Kendrick takes his influences from, I don't know if I would say, I don't know if I could say he took it places that they hadn't taken it in the 90s. I think what I will say is that hip hop is a lot, well, rap music is a lot bigger than hip hop was in the 90s.
Yes.
Like rap music, not necessarily hip hop, but rap music is a lot bigger. And it's a lot easier for people to enter the chat, so to speak, at this point in time, just with where we are in technology. And so I think that probably since the 90s, he's encapsulated what I think are the best parts of the 90s are and taking it places it hasn't been than anybody else. And there's been other artists to do that, right? Lupe Fiasco's in there, like J. Cole, you know, as boring as I think he is, he represents that.
But are they as large as Kendrick is Coachella large?
Yeah, no, Kendrick has made it to institution levels.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And so that's what I think is so interesting about this battle. You have, you know, essentially I've been calling essentially like the biggest pop star possible versus the biggest cultural artists of this era as possible, going head to head in the battle. And both of them are very, very witty, very slick with the tongue. I think Drake's a phenomenal rapper. I think he is, you know, he had a reputation for being a ferocious opponent in battle. That's starting to look more like an outlier. Meek Mill started to look like an outlier now. He had that reputation, and just the magnitude of their brands brought all the eyes in the world on it. So I think that is one of the reasons why it's super important to see. I wasn't sure what angle Kendrick was going to come with in this battle, but the more I study this and research this, because this really is a cultural moment. Like this is in my opinion is the biggest battle ever, just because of the elements at play, the timing, the scale of the artist at this point in time, and the conversations that came out of it. But I at this point now, I think Kendrick had like 9 different directions he could go, depending on whatever Drake did. So in that sense, I don't want to say that they're both at peak powers. I think Drake's been really comfortable for a long time. I think Drake's been very comfortable since Scorpion, at least. And I think part of the reason Scorpion was as big as it was because Kendrick Lamar's Damn was so big right before it. And in that regard, I think both of them push each other in a way to make some of their best work and their best art. And at least on Kendrick Lamar's side, I think that this battle, I can say on both sides, I think this battle really, showed us how talented both artists really are. Because Family Matters is no joke. It's not a joke song.